Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Inside Grace. Missed you last week. We were in Dallas at the Kingdom Leadership Summit and really enjoyed that, and hope you were able to see some of our recordings that were on Facebook. But as always, I want to start our time talking about God's grace, which always draws me to 2 Corinthians 12 and 9, which says, "My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness." God is telling us that his unmerited favor, his loving kindness, and his tender mercy are with us, no matter where we are, no matter what we do. Whatever it is we do according to his will, we can do it. No matter how outlandish it is, no matter how big it is, we need to understand that God's favor is always with us. So we can't hold back. We can't put limits on God. We must operate by faith and believe that God is more than able. That is the God who would not place us where we are if he wasn't going to give us everything we need to be successful in what we do. So we've been given all authority and power to do miraculous things through programs and ministry, given the ability to touch and change lives of those in the community who are in need and make disciples for Jesus Christ. And he has provided all the resources that we need to do everything that he has shown us. As we move forward, we will be planting seeds, planting seeds, nurturing lives, and harvesting greatness. And you'll hear a lot more about that as we move forward. But right now, let's go inside grace. Hello and welcome back to Inside Grace. Today we are absolutely blessed with a special guest that many of you may know, or at least you have seen. The District Superintendent of the Washington East District, Reverend Dr. Johnsie W. Cogman, here is with us. And we're going to go do a quick Q&A today, but you can have all the time you need. But we appreciate you taking time out of your really, really busy schedule. It's a blessing we were able to get her, especially during church conference season. There's a lot of things going on, but we thank you for taking a little bit of time. So tell us a little bit about you and the journey that brought you here to being the DS of the Washington East.
Wow. So I think my journey is one of what I call God's grace and unmerited favor. I am Reverend Dr. Johnsie Cogman. I like to be called Dr. C because I do have a doctorate that I earned from Wesley, but the main thing about that is I earned it after having stage 3 breast cancer. And because it is October, I think it's very important for me to highlight that. I realized that it would be 20 years in October, or actually December, that I would be cancer free. So I was really excited about being able to get not 1 but 2 degrees after having cancer. So again, it's a journey of God's grace and favor. My United Methodist journey starts at St. Paul United Methodist Church. Bishop Violet Fisher was one who said that I need to look into the United Methodist Church, and she put me in contact with Reverend Dr. Rodney Smothers. I started working over at St. Paul, left St. Paul and went to Zion Wesley down in Waldorf. I was there, but I was as a part-time pastor because I was also teaching school at Valley View Elementary School when I got the call to leave teaching and become a full-time pastor. I left Zion Wesley after being there for 2 years. Then I went to Mount Zion United Methodist Church in Georgetown, which is the oldest African-American church in all of Washington, D.C. And I was their first African-American female pastor in 180 years to ever pastor there. So I was very excited about that. And then just about 2 weeks after I became the pastor of Mount Zion, the district superintendent called me and asked me, "I have another church for you to take." So I became the pastor of Bell's United Methodist Church in Camp Springs. So yes, I drove from Accokeek to Camp Springs to Georgetown to back home every Sunday for 8 years. It was absolutely fantastic. Being over at Bell's, of course, is now called The Journey. Then, while I was serving at Mount Zion, I received a phone call, and the phone call came from Bishop Latrell Miller Easterling and asked me to have a meeting, and thus I became a district superintendent July 1st of 2019. So exactly 10 years after becoming the pastor of Zion Wesley in 2009, I became the district superintendent of the Washington East District 10 years later, July 1st of 2019.
Awesome.
So here I am.
Quite a journey. Quite a journey. So I know that people know the district superintendent, but they don't have any idea. I don't even know they don't have any idea of what you do. I know that you're over 60 churches. So what is the responsibility of the district superintendent?
Okay, so basically it's 2 words. We are missional strategists. A missional strategist is basically what it says. It's one that takes care of the pastors and the churches to make sure that we are doing what God has called you as a pastor to do as you lead the church to make more disciples. So my job is to come in to help you to develop strategies and creative ministries and ways that we can reach people for Jesus Christ. Even those who've been in the church for years, some people that been in the church still may not be Christians. They still may not know Jesus. And we cannot make that proclamation, I should say. Okay, we can't assume that because of the fact that people come and sometimes they do things out of tradition. So my job as a missional strategist is to come and find out what is going on at Grace and what's going on around in the neighborhood of Grace, and how can Grace not only take care of the people inside the church, but more importantly, how can we take care of people in our community? What can we do that's going to really make us disciples, which are one who follow Christ? So I am a missional strategist.
Missional strategist.
And the Washington East District, we're so excited just to let you know, we are the largest geographically district in all of the Baltimore-Washington Conference. We have 66 churches in 4 different counties. So we serve Prince George's, Calvert, Charles, and St. Mary's County.
Wow.
Yes, that's exactly right. Wow.
So years ago, I was the district lay leader.
Yes.
And I traveled with the DS.
Yes. So I
was like, oh my gosh.
So
we were traveling all those back roads and dark.
That's
oh my
exactly
goodness.
Right.
It was dark and scary. It was scary.
And you dare not turn off your lights.
It was rough there.
Yeah, it was.
So things have been going on, and I want to know what has caught your attention recently as we've been going through the churches in the Washington East have been trying, and all the churches have been trying to come out of this whole COVID-19 thing for more than 2 years. What have you seen in these as people are trying to come out? What has caught your attention?
So I would say that the thing that caught my attention is God is in control.
Come on now.
Absolutely 100%. We have churches that think they're in control. Pastors who think they're in control, lay leaders who think they're in control, certified lay ministers who think they're in control. The people think they're in control, but they have to understand God is in control. Okay. How do we see that? Because when COVID hit in 2019, what happened? The entire world shut down. Yeah. It wasn't a denomination. It wasn't just a building. It was the world shut down. And because of that, people had to look at ministry differently. I can't go to my beautiful sanctuary anymore. I can't go to my stained glass window. I can't sit in my favorite pew. I can't hear the Allen organ or the Hammond organ. So how do I truly worship God? So that caught my eye, that people were now faced with, am I a worshiper or am I just a spectator? Can I worship God in my living room? Can I worship God at my kitchen table? Families came together because of COVID. Because mom or dad would leave and go to church, whereas the others wouldn't go, and the kids would. But now everybody had to stay home. So we had Bible study on Zoom. We used Google Meet. We used FaceTime. People actually came together and started to worship God together. And because you worship God instead of the building, then you understand that the church, the ecclesia, is not a building. It's the people. And I think people had to realize that, and that was a big thing. Then, of course, when the COVID started going down, people wanted to have these plans to go back into their buildings. It was kind of like, we want to go back the old way, but you really can't go back the old way. Because when Jesus came, it was like, I came to give you something new. Okay? When he told his disciples, there's a new commandment that I'm giving to you. I don't need you to go back and do the same thing we did before. So I'm not going to dwell on that, but you get what I'm saying. Those are things that I saw. I saw people coming together. I saw technology being used effectively. I saw seniors, when I call 80 and 90-year-olds, who are now on Zoom and they're excited about it. Those who were sick and shut in that could not make it to the church can now still worship. They can still sing their song of Zion in a strange land, because that strange land was not sitting in those pews. Oh, it was just, it's amazing.
So how do we take that momentum that you just talked about as we move forward?
Just exactly what you said. You take it and you do it. It's just like Nike.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
I have found that some people don't do it because, one, they have fear of what people are going to say. They have fear that they don't have permission to do it. They have fear that they have to have a meeting to get it done. There's an old cliche that says sometimes it's better to ask for what? Forgiveness than permission. So when Jesus was out doing what he did, and you know, Jesus was only in the building twice. 2 times in the Bible we can find Jesus in that building. The rest of the time he was out. But when he was out, he was doing things that was contrary to the culture. Right. He was doing things that was out of the norm. He was doing things that was making the Sadducees and the Pharisees like, huh? What? Really? And even the disciples who walked with him and talked with him, who he had selected, sometimes had to scratch their heads. Yeah. So I think we just have to do it. If there is a thought, if there is an idea, if there is something, do it. At least you can say that you tried. Even if it doesn't succeed, just do it. I'll give you an example. When I was at Mount Zion is in the middle of a small street, and it's in row houses. There's no parking. There's no front yard, backyard, whatever. And I told them I wanted to have communion outside. I wanted to go outside the church. Oh, we can never do that. No, we can never do that. Nobody's going to come. If we just get one, that's all that Jesus says. Just start with one. We opened up, we blocked off the street, we had the thing outside, and one lady walked by, and we offered her communion, and she took communion. That was in 11 or 12. The rest of the time, she came over when she saw that we were serving the homeless. She came over, she bought cookies, she served with us. She never became a member, but she became a disciple. Right. That's what it's all about. Yeah. It's all about that. So just do it. Yeah. Just do it. You got your backing of the superintendent. Amen.
So and I said we were going to sort of a free-flowing conversation. The church has always been slow when it comes to change. Yes. And this has been such a big change.
It has.
For so many in the church. How do we deal with the church that does not want to change to begin with, and now everything is new, everything is different. Some people don't even want to do electronics. We're getting so much clashing and pushback. Mm-hmm. What do we do?
So you might not want to hear this. you all might not want to hear this.
If it starts with the pastor, it goes somewhere else.
You might not want to hear this. It's at that point where, at what point do you say there is a greater good out there than what we're doing right here? And yes, I do tell the pastors that. Yes, because I have an expectation. If we say that we're going to be Christians, Christ-like, then we're going to be and following the example of Christ. Christ wasn't scared. When he was with the woman who had committed adultery, and they were ready to stone her, and he just started looking down. He didn't even look up. He just right in the sand and said, okay, you all who got to, throw the first stone. When it came time for him to do things, he just did it. And a lot of times, we are going to get pushback. The Bible also says that when we preach, if we are just making everybody feel good whenever we preach, we're not doing our job. There should be some kind of rub, something that makes me say, what, really? So if every sermon is just wonderful, right, everybody's happy, everybody's just, oh, we're so glad. I want somebody to say, you know what, you stepped on my toes today. Yeah. Well, what do you mean by that? I want somebody to challenge me. And so I think that the pastors and the leaders in the church and the people in the pews, we need to challenge ourselves. We need to come and say, what is it that we can do better? What is it that we can do so that we can reach not only just the homeless over there, but the millionaire over there that doesn't know Jesus?